know I'm not actually schizophrenic. And even if I was, you do realize how damaging that is to people that actually are?
Oh, I never thought about how damaging that could be.
It misrepresents people and makes them feel like they're evil or something.
So does that mean that you're not going to hurt me?
Oh no, this is still happening.
Chances are at some point you've seen a movie, a television show, a newscast which has mentioned mental illness. A study conducted by Otto Wall found that coverage of mental illness in the media tripled in the span of only 2 decades and is growing at a faster rate than any other subject. In fact, the Journal of Community Psychology has found that television is the primary source of mental health information for most people. This is a major issue within our society because the portrayal of characters with mental illness is wildly inaccurate. Only a fourth of characters with mental illness are in stable relationships, half are unemployed, and all are twice as likely to be violent, with 1 in 5 having committed murder. But in actuality, only 7.5% of crimes are linked to mental illness, and this discrepancy between the truth and media portrayal is hurting real people every day.
Inaccurate media portrayals of mental illness have been prevalent throughout history. The most prominent example of this is that of the lobotomy. At one point in time, lobotomies were widely advertised by newspapers as a legitimate form of treatment. During this period, lobotomies were widely sought out by patients and their families as well as prescribed by doctors. It wasn't until news coverage shifted to discuss the dangerous nature of these procedures that lobotomies fell out of practice.
Inaccurate media portrayal of mental illness is still damaging to those who experience it today. That is largely due to the fact that inaccurate portrayals lead to stigmatization. Stigma is defined as a sign of disgrace or discredit which sets a person apart from others. The media exacerbates the stigmatization of mental illness by creating fear and misinformation. George Mason University conducted a study which revealed that regardless of gender, age, or ethnicity, any viewers who read any form of entertainment which featured mental illness had a negative response to the idea of anyone with mental illness residing in their community and advocated for strict restrictions on those individuals. These negative attitudes are incredibly damaging to those with mental illness. Because 83% of employers believe employees with mental illness cannot cope with the demands of the workplace, less than half of those with mental illness are employed, despite legislation meant to prevent this form of discrimination. This has also decreased the amount of treatment which is available to the mentally ill. The director of the National Association of County Behavioral Health has stated that mental health treatment is rapidly losing funding, largely due to misconceptions stemming from the media. These misconceptions even discourage those with mental illness from seeking help, as over 60% of mental illness among adults goes untreated due to the fear of being seen differently by their peers. And while these trends are still common in popular media today, it is starting to change via 2 driving forces, both Twitter and Sesame Street.
Social media is empowering activism groups in the mentally ill to take control of their own narrative, advocating for accurate representation and dispelling existing myths and misconceptions. And TV shows like Sesame Street have started countering misinformation with the younger generations, with accurate portrayals like Julia, one of their newest puppets who is also autistic.
Positive representation driven by those with personal experience is starting to result in shifting media coverage. So the next time you turn on the TV, pick up the newspaper, or open Netflix, remember, technology has immense power over the perceptions of the world around us, but that doesn't mean what you view is actually true.